So I'm Casey Coulter. I am the practicum student here. Have any of you used the Gale online resource? No? Okay, great. So the way that we get to it, just to start out, is we're going to go to the Southern High School LibGuide, which is what I've got pulled up right here, and you click on the research button. And when you do that, well, I've already done that actually. This is what it looks like when you're just on the LibGuide, and then you go to research, and the Gale online resource is this big one in the middle, okay? And so when we go into there, it gives you our 5 different databases. And so each one is a little bit different. They have different focuses. This first one is just top reference ebooks, and so it's just like your typical reference book. It's not articles or anything like that. It's just reference stuff. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Then you have the research and context. It's research-based. Then biographies. These are pretty straightforward. Biographies are biographies and things about people. And then the global issues, I think, is really interesting. It's about things around the world and more hot topic type information. And then the bottom one has magazines, news, like videos, and that kind of thing. So you can begin searching with just a power search. You can type whatever, global warming. And this will, the power search, without you going into each individual database, it'll search all of them for relevant information on your topic, which is good if you're just looking to see what's out there. So you can see it's going to have huge results. It's going to be really wide all over the place. This has 237,000 news articles. So you can see that the power search might be a little bit much. You might want to tone it back. And so when you do that, you have your different options. And here's kind of what they look like. This is the research, biographies. You can scroll down. It has some things mapped out. The resources, global issues. They look very much the same. The only one that looks different is the reference, and that's because it's the ebooks instead. So when you're looking for things to search, if your students aren't sure what topic they want to be looking at, they can click Browse Topics, and that'll give an alphabetical list of all the topics that are within that database. So if you know that you want them working in research, well then you'll just click there, and they can see all of the topics. If you have a standard in mind, a curriculum standard that you want to look at, you can click right here on curriculum standards, which I think is really cool that it'll sort it this way. So with these state standards, if you live in Kentucky, and then you go from there. So we want to do program of studies, high school for social studies, and then you just filter through the topics that you're interested in. You want to look at the enduring skill of understanding, economic conditions, and then it's going to pull up things relating within this database to that standard. And I think that's really, really helpful if you're looking for a specific, whatever you're teaching on in the moment. Another thing that I think is really cool, the coolest thing that I think, one of the coolest things Gale Database has to offer, is if students, again, aren't sure what they want to look at, but maybe have an idea, but they aren't sure how to narrow it down, maybe they have a broad topic, if you click on this advanced search, oh, just kidding, research is the only one that this doesn't work in. It works in all 4 of the others, but I was in the wrong one, so give me 1 second. Biographies, advanced. And then I click topic finder. So it doesn't look like much, but let's say this is biography, so I'm searching people. Let's say I'm looking for divers. And I search. It gives me topics related to divers. So you can see diving has subcategories. Rescue operations has subcategories. Thailand has subcategories. You can look at it that way, or you can look at it in the wheel, and it gives you a further breakdown of what they are. So from the tiles, let's say we wanted to look at Thailand because there was that dive. You know what I'm talking about. There's 21 articles related to diving in Thailand when those kids were in the caves. I'm sure they're not all about that, but some of them are. And then you can see that those are all of the things related to that. If you were in the wheel, it gives you a further breakdown. Like you can see United States, there's a sort of big section on the Navy, there's a big section on the Olympics, just the sports in general. It's just a good way to visualize all the topics. Okay? Any questions so far? No? Feel good. All right. So that's about just the general browsing topics. One thing that's really great is that you can sign in with your Google account. And so if you want to assign things, you want to move them to your drive, it speaks with Google Drive, and so you can just immediately send things over to your Google Drive. Let's say that we did pick one of these articles. Let's say we, who's watching who? The Olympics. Okay. So this is where I'm at. I can send this to my Google Drive, or I can save the article to a folder. So if you had a topic, and say you were researching lots of things about diving, you could save a bunch of articles to your folder, and then you could divvy them up to your students. So maybe you send some to these students, some to those students, or just have like a full resource. You save it to your folder, send it to your Google Drive, and then from there you can assign it straight to your Google Classrooms. So that's really nice. It has that communication skill. You might notice, well, I'll talk about that in a second. There's also all of these other tools. So like the highlighting and notes, if you are reading this, or if a student is reading this and you see something you find really interesting, 104-foot steel-hulled 3-mast schooner embarks out of Miami each week. Okay, you really like that, you can highlight that. You can write your little note about it. Wow, impressive. You can find some more, like this. Okay, and then it collects them all, so when you finish your article all the way, it collects them all. When you click on highlights and notes, you can see all the things that you highlighted or took notes on. So that's really nice. Another thing that you can do if you have ESL students in your classroom, there's this option right here, which you could show them how to do this, and they can translate their article into any of these languages. So this would just translate the article, though. If you have students who are really struggling and they wanted to change the whole interface, they wanted to change everything about the website, up here next to where they signed into Google, they can change the entire interface to any one of these languages. I'm not going to do that because I wouldn't be able to change it back, but I think that's really neat for ESL students. Another thing that Gale does, languages. Okay. So let's say that I had searched, I just browsed people. Let's do it that way. Browsing people, and let's say that I'm really interested in Hungarian. When you click on that, it gives you like an overview of the topic. It tells you the different kinds of things you can find within the topic being Hungarian. And one thing that I think is super cool, if you were to click on one of these things, let's say I go to magazines, it then tells us, it takes us to the list of magazines, but there's also these options to limit your search. And you can limit your search by these different things. So you can have basic, intermediate, and advanced. And this is really helpful, especially if you're researching like in the sciences or something, and if you know that you want to differentiate for your students, say that you know that you have some struggling readers and kids who just need to get the content, but then you also have kids that really, really need more advanced stuff to be engaged and interested. It also tells you the level of the articles and just gives you an idea of what to expect within the article, which is super helpful. And then, of course, you can do it by publication type or subject or things like that. Looks like we have 3 minutes left of lunch. Let me make sure that I touched on all the big things. While I'm looking, do you guys have any questions? Okay. Yeah, the one other thing that I'm going to talk about was there's also this More button at the top. There's an embedded dictionary, which I think is really helpful. A lot of students, when they're reading, they might come across a word they don't know. You can encourage them, like, Okay, it's okay. Just look it up right here. It's embedded inside the program. There's also a title list, so you can see all of the journals and things that are within. I don't expect that you would use that as much. The search history is helpful if a student forgets to save an article that they were looking at and they were reading it. Now, they would need to catch it while they were still on that computer, but when you're doing research, you can get mixed in all of it. And then, of course, your folder if you've sorted a bunch of files that you want to send out. So now that was super fast, but there is going to be a Google Slides presentation coming to you soon. So you can check out other features and just take it all in a